If you have a loved one struggling with an addiction, you might be wondering, do they love that addiction more than you? Here's the problem. Addiction brings demise to relationships, jobs, financials, social status, health, well-being. It destroys and takes down individuals and families. And the number one thing I hear from family members is, if they loved me, they wouldn't drink, they wouldn't use, they wouldn't look at porn, they wouldn't be on their phone or gaming all day. It tears down families. So what's the answer to the question? Do they love the addiction more than you? No, they don't. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying, Dawn, you don't get it. You don't get it. We've lost our finances. We've lost our relationship. Everything has been broken down because of my husband, spouse, child, sibling, parent, friends, addiction to porn, to gaming, to alcohol. We've lost everything. If they loved me, they wouldn't do it. Well, I do get it. My name is Dawn, and I'm a licensed behavioral health clinician specializing in addiction disorders. And I'm also known as the Recovery Lady. And we're going to talk about this today because I've treated it on the clinical side and I've experienced it as a family member, as a loved one on the personal side. Here's the problem. Because at the Recovery Lady, we always want to live in the solution. The problem is that addiction is a midbrain disorder. Now you're probably saying, no, they have a choice. They have a choice. They don't have to pick up that drink. They don't have to turn on that game. And yes, gaming is an addiction now. But what the family doesn't often understand, and what I have found that even the addicted loved one doesn't often understand, is that addiction is a midbrain disorder. It's a dysregulation of dopamine receptors. Now what's complicated, and I am actually considering doing, I have a very easy teaching model, I call the Maxwell model, on how to teach this. I didn't create the concepts, but I have a way of teaching it, and I'm thinking about doing a series on that if anybody's interested. Diabetes is very similar to addiction. If you're diabetic, okay, or you're predisposed to diabetes in your family, you know, hey, I can't be eating a lot of sugar, I can't be abusing it, I have to keep my weight in check. Diabetes runs in my family. I've heard one of my kids say that, it runs in the family, I have to be so careful, and that child's very health conscious because of it. Because that child doesn't have it yet, but they know they have to take the responsibility now to not develop it. Addictive disorders are the same way. If you are genetically predisposed, meaning it's the mu receptor, mu specifically, these dopamine receptors are not properly regulated, and you know you're predisposed, you are responsible to take the steps to avoid becoming addicted. You're not responsible for the fact you have diabetes, but you're responsible to take care of it. If you were predisposed, you didn't know, and now you're struggling with addiction, you're not responsible for that, but you're responsible to take care of it. Now look, I know you're probably thinking, no, you don't understand. They could pick up that bottle, and they could, or that, not pick up that porn, or not pick up the heroin or the meth or whatever is happening, and walk away. And I used to think the same thing. And that's how I actually became a licensed behavioral health clinician. I had been exposed to it so many times in my life, I wanted to know more. But and I will teach you more. But for the sake of this video, your family member, friend, son, child, daughter, loved one, sibling does not love their addiction more than you. They are dysregulated in the brain. There is a dysregulation in the pleasure principle of the dopamine, and it can be corrected. And we will talk about that in another video. But understanding it right now, it'd be like if you're telling somebody, look, you have a choice. Say you know we're diabetic, and a type 1 diabetic, and you say, eat the chocolate cake and the whole cake, and they're like, no, I can't eat the cake. And you're saying, eat the cake. What's wrong with you? Just have a little. And now that person's going into a diabetic seizure. Are you going to stand over that person and say, get up, suck it up, tell your pancreas to produce some insulin and get over it? When we say that to our loved one, you have a choice. You have a choice. You love it more than me. Get over it. Visualize yourself yelling at somebody having a diabetic seizure and telling their body to do something their mind cannot control. That's why it's not their choice. And that's the problem of addiction. And in my professional opinion, that is what loved ones, clients, patients are not getting the proper education on what is happening in the brain with addictive disorders. And that's key. So we will be covering that. So what does that look like for you? Now you know, and hopefully you believe me, that they don't love their addiction more than they love you. What is the solution? Because at the Recovery Lady, we are about living in the solution. Here's the nutshell solution for today's video, and I'll be doing more on these and helping you move forward. The solution is, the first thing you do is realize it's not your fault. You didn't cause it, and you can't cure it. It is going to be in the responsibility of that individual to get the help they need. And you always want to support them getting well, but you never want to enable that behavior. You don't want to make it easy for them to do it, just like you don't want to put the cake in front of the diabetic. So number one, it's not your fault. Number two solution behavior for today is you get support. You start watching videos like this. You go to Alanon, you go to Codependence Anonymous, and you start learning about the disease of addiction. Now, hey, I've had plenty of family members, even friends, say, why should I have to be late and going to meetings and burden going to meetings? I'm not the one with the problem. You are. You are, because you love that person. And if you're involved in their life, you have a responsibility to understand it, not just for them, but for yourself. So you know how to properly exist in that situation. So you know it's not your fault. And you know they don't love you more than the disease. So now you have to move into getting some education. There's a lot of different types of support groups. Adult children of alcoholics or people with dysfunctional families, another great source. There's another great source. And because if you are in a relationship with someone struggling with an active addiction, then you most likely were exposed to it somewhere else, or you wouldn't have the tolerance to be in that relationship. So no, it's not your fault. You're getting support for yourself. You understand the disease model and you want to learn more. And the last thing for today's video I want to talk to you about this is you move forward with your own life. Look, I was in a situation over the span of my life with different people because I came from a disordered childhood, being raised and exposed to people with addictive disorders and feeling like they loved it more than me, and being in committed relationships like that through my life and trying to prove I'm worthy and get the love I could get. One thing that people do, when I did this, is when you're in a relationship where somebody is struggling with an active addiction, you may tend to say, you know, I want to do this with my life and have these dreams and these goals and these visions, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait because I'm here. I'm going to wait for my loved one to catch up so we can move forward together. And I'm going to tell you that's a mistake. It is imperative you're living your best life, getting counseling, going to support groups, and pursuing your own dreams, individuality, and goals. And you can still love and support with healthy detachment your addicted loved one while they take their journey. The mistake would be, and part of the solution is to keep moving forward with your life and getting the help that you need and deserve, and not stopping your life waiting for somebody else to catch up, because they may choose to embrace it, they may choose not to embrace it, they may never get well, they may get well quickly. But the best support you are to your loved one is living your best life. People who are stricken with addictive disorders, there are no other people, and I advocate for them and I treat them, who have lower self-esteem than somebody struggling with an addictive disorder. So when you're holding your life back, it's actually making them feel worse. Even if they're verbally saying something else, that's the disease talking, and I'll talk about that more in another video. That's what I wanted to tell you today. If you're struggling, if you're wondering, if you're feeling stuck, your loved one does not love their addiction more than you. They are struggling with a midbrain disorder, and yes, it can be treated. That's the understanding. That's the problem. But the solution is that you need to keep moving forward, get educated, get support, and keep living your life and knowing it is not your fault. You didn't cause it, and you can't cure it. But you can support the wellness by not enabling the illness. And I'm happy to talk about that more in other videos. I see so many people struggling with this. You deserve to be safe and you deserve to be well. If you're in an abusive situation, physically, sexually, emotionally, we never want to stay there. You get safe. Safety's always first. You're never supposed to be somebody else's punching bag or carpet. You don't want tire marks on your back, somebody running over you, because you deserve to live the life that God had planned for you. The Lord loves you so much. And guess what? Part of this journey you're on now is going to be part of where God uses you in the future to help other people. I hope that was helpful today. I'm Dawn, a licensed behavioral health clinician, also a strong follower of Christ, loving to do education about addiction and families and wellness. At The Recovery Lady, we live in the solution. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to try to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm a little over 100, and I'm going to be very intentional about it. We get well together. I'm looking to build a community. If you leave comments, make sure they're safe, sane, clean. There's just not, you know what? Life tears you down. There's no room for negativity or criticism of each other. And I'm just going to delete it anyway. So let's stay positive. Let's move forward and let's get well together. Love you guys. See you next time. Mwah.